Hi, my name's Kate Amory, and today we're going to be answering another one of your questions around data governance and privacy. Today we're going to be talking about Axon and EDC, and when you should use one as opposed to the other. These are two very important component parts of our governance solution, but they do have different capabilities and are used for different purposes. They work best in conjunction with one another, but let's talk about the breakdown of each one and then what they can do together. Axon is best suited to the top-down approach to governance. So if you want to begin by defining your glossary terms, documenting the business processes in which your data is managed, looking at different projects and different ways stakeholders take responsibility for data artifacts, all of that can be done in Axon. Here are just some of the questions that we look to answer with Axon, to do with where the data is, sure, but a lot about why it's kept, the why rather than just the where. Now, Axon is all about context, and it's there to really bring together all sorts of different views. But EDC, on the other hand, is there to talk more to the technical view. EDC is what we could use for a bottom-up approach to governance. So if we wanted to actually focus on first, where is the physical data? The first thing you wanted to do was get a grip on your physical landscape, your technical landscape of how data flows through different systems, resources, databases, and schemas. That would be an EDC responsibility. And our Enterprise Data Catalog does just that. It will go through, scan your systems that you link it up to, and actually catalog the metadata based on what it's found. So it will look at the different titles of the columns, look at the data within the columns, look at similarity to other columns and a different range of rules so that it can catalogue the data that you have. So you can see that depending on which project you are beginning with or where your priorities lay, you could begin from either side. If, for instance, you were approaching, let's take a project such as GDPR or any kind of privacy regulation. If you were approaching that from the perspective of the first thing you needed to know is where is that private data? I need to find personal data everywhere it is across the enterprise because I actually have no idea. My priority is just location before I can think about anything else. You might want to start with EDC. Then you could do the scanning, bring up what you've discovered, that lineage of personal data, into Axon, and then start to enrich it with business context. For example, you would then be able to link it up to the processes and start reporting on the processing activities that you do related to personal data. That would be an Axon capability and another requirement for GDPR. You would be sharing information between the two because they are tightly integrated, but you might start with EDC in that particular example. If, on the other hand, you thought, well, I know a reasonable amount about where the data is, I've got a rough idea, we've done some kind of manual steps to understand where lineage is, what I really don't understand is how it's being used, maybe Axon would be your first stop. Or even if you thought, I don't even know where to scan, we've got so many systems, I don't have any idea, I've never done a kind of fact-finding exercise to really understand what the priority systems are, which are likely to have the most personal data in them. So before I even scan, I want to do some knowledge gathering, then maybe it'd start with Axon. You're always going towards the same goal, and you're always ultimately going to want to use both. They are two sides to the same coin. But you as a company will have to decide what your priorities are if you're going to start just with one element of these. Ultimately, as I've said, they will feed one another and grow with one another, and it's having the two in compliance with one another that will give you amazing capabilities like the ability to auto-tag metadata as it's discovered to the definition that has been defined by the business in Axon, which means that business users can quickly understand exactly where the data that they need and want is going to be. All in all, the combination is where we want to end up. Depending on your priorities, you can choose which one to begin with. Thank you very much for listening.